back to a new Hints and Theories video. My name is Julia, and in this video I will guide you through all the hints and theories that will hopefully help you figure out who the mole is. This time we will talk about episode number 4, and I thought it would probably also be fun to quickly have it about the official test questions we get to see every Monday in the WIDM app, because I know not everyone uses the app, so I thought it's quite interesting to have a look at those as well, especially because we do not really get to see any of the tests anymore in the episodes, which is quite suspicious, but probably a thing the new director decided, so I thought it's quite interesting to have a look at the questions so that you get a little insight on the tests. But before we jump to that, let's start with task number 1. In this task we had two groups, the haunted house group and the lie detector group. Let's start with the second one. Here we can also split those people up and have Ray and Sophie on the one hand as the interviewers, and then we have Sam, Micah and Rose as the suspects. Sam was the first one who got questioned, and yeah, he basically gave pretty good answers. There's one thing that was quite interesting during his interview, and that was that at some point the lie detector showed us an M in his, well, briefing written. Of course, you know, the M can always stand for mole, so maybe this was a hint to Sam as mole. Then there was Micah, and she gave quite short answers, but there was one interesting thing, because she repeated a question before answering it. I have it about the question Ray is asking her, because he asked, "Did you know beforehand that I would have to go to the airport?" And then she said, "Did I know that you would have to go to the airport?" No. And if you think about it, the mole most likely knew that somebody would have to sleep at the airport. But it seems logical to me that the mole did not know who that person would be. If you remember it, how the whole thing was managed, they had to draw those key cards from the hotel rooms and then go to the hotel rooms and see, oh, you're sleeping at another place tonight. So I think the mole did not really have any knowledge about who would be the one to sleep at the airport, but the mole would have knowledge that somebody would have to sleep at the airport. So I think she did not lie there, but she was very lucky, if she's the mole, that Ray asked the question like that. And so she could just repeat it and, well, answer truthfully, if she's the mole. Last but not least, we had Rose, who had to answer some questions, and she of course had a very interesting tactic here, which is also pretty, yeah, good for more, I would say, because she really tried to talk a lot and not really give direct answers, and always start like a complete story around that question. And of course that is not only driving Sophie and Ray a little bit insane, but it also kind of confuses the lie detector. So that comes in very handy for a mole. And it seems like she knew that this would be difficult for the lie detector. So if she's the mole, then this is a quite good tactic for this kind of game. Let's also quickly have it about Ray and Sophie, who had the chance to spend a lot of money here. They did not do that, which actually makes them a bit less suspicious, I think. Ray, we know it, is out of the game anyways, but if we have a look at Sophie, she did not really seem to go for the questions with the high amount of money. So this would have been the chance for her as mole to spend a lot of money, and they did not really do that, so I think it's actually an anti-mole action for Sophie. Then we have the other group in the haunted house, Stein, Bridget and Nora, and in the mole talk they were so kind to do an overview of who of them actually pressed how many buttons and how much money was earned. As we know, in the end they earned €250, and we have to say that all of the candidates should give a huge thank you to Nora, because she actually was the only one earning money in that task. Thanks to Nora, €1,000 were earned, and that is a lot, especially done alone. And I think it's a huge anti-mole action, because imagine Nora's alone in that haunted house. She could have done anything without the other candidates watching her. Why would you earn so much money if you're the mole in a situation like that? Although we have to say that she did miss one button, she did not press the last one, although she was pretty close to that one, so if you're in the Nora tunnel you could interpret that as a mole action, but still I do not see why the mole should earn €1,000 alone in a situation like that. €1,000 earned by Nora, but a lot of money lost thanks to Stein and Bridget. Stein actually was responsible for minus €500 and Bridget for minus €250, and that of course makes them suspicious. So again, whoever earns the pot in the end should give a huge thanks to Nora. Let's have a look at task number 2. In this game, 2 people had a special role, Sophie and Sam. They got to play snakes and ladders, and by doing that and being the first one to cross the finish line, one of them had the chance to earn a joker, which is of course a huge motivation to be the first one winning the game, to be the fastest. But Sophie said something interesting at the end of the task, that she actually realized that if she had played it a bit slower, the other group would have had more chance to earn money by giving their ice creams to the children. So of course for the mole it would be quite interesting to be in the snakes and ladders position. One, because you can influence how much time there is for the whole game to be played, and second, you could also influence how many colors the others would get, and as you know, the more colors the eyes had, the more they would earn. So in the end, being one of the 2 with the special role would be quite interesting for them all. So let's have a look at how Sam and Sophie played that game. Sophie in the end wins the joker. She was going through the, snakes and ladders game pretty fast and quickly, but she also gave a lot of correct answers, and by doing that getting other colors for the ice cream group and actually helping them. Sam, he gave several incorrect answers, and if he answered a question correctly, then it, happened a few times that they actually already had that color of liquid, and as you know, more colors would have come in very handy, would have been the thing you would like to go for as a candidate, because more colors, more money. So he did not really help the ice cream group with his actions. Although I said that probably for the mole it would be the most interesting thing to be part of the snakes and ladders group, that does not mean that you could not mole in the ice cream group as well, because there of course you can also do some mole actions. For example, a very easy way to mole here is to simply get rid of the colored liquid, and Rose and Micah both did that by letting those, water balloons, colored liquid balloons fall down. Rose did it twice, and I think Micah did it at least once. At least that's what I remember. So that's a pretty easy way to mole here. Less liquid, less colors, less money. And then there's also an interesting scene we get to see from Bridget, which we could probably interpret as mole action, because they had those glass bottles with the colored liquid there, where they had to fill in the liquid from the balloons, and they had one already prepared, and then there were 5 or 6 others, and instead of just filling the second liquid into the bottle right next to the one which was already filled, she chose the bottle at the other end. So that's probably a bit not so handy to get the colors in your eyes, but still it could have simply been another weird Bridget action. Who knows? So much about task number 2. Last but not least, in this episode we had again kind of a combination of a test and a task, this time about the birthday scene. I have to admit that there's not a lot of suspicious things I have here. I think of course you can mole here by not finding the cake, for example, by doing everything slowly than it actually could have happened. So Ray of course was super weird in this task by not doing anything at all. but I think Stein really, well, got his weird behavior and tried not to act super fast and perfectly as well. So yeah, you can influence this year by just not finding the pieces, not solving the riddle, and then of course you would not earn money. But there's nothing super suspicious I spotted here, but if you did, then please let us know in the comments below. Nevertheless, something interesting about the candidates who have to leave the game, they are always somehow connected to some, because they have all shared a room with him. In Ray's case, he even had a bond with him, so that is suspicious. And it happened in older seasons that really people who got close to the mall had to leave the game pretty quickly. And well, it does begin to seem like a pattern, that if you're close to some, then you will probably leave the game in the next episode. We will have to see what happens to Sophie, but actually I think she's not that interesting in a bond with him. It was more like that Ray was the leading part here, but we will see how this, now probably bond between Sam and Sophie will develop in the next episode. Last but not least, I promised you to give you an overview of the test questions we got so far in the WIDM app. If you do not know that, there's always a test question on the upcoming Monday about the episode we got to see on Saturday. And it always is a question the candidates really had in their test. So that's quite interesting, and by answering the question correctly you can earn some extra points for the game in the app. But still, it's quite interesting to get an insight of the test. After the first episode we did not get any test question, basically I guess because there was no real test in that episode. They only had the question, who is the mole? So let's skip that one and have a look at the test question to episode number 2. And this one was the mole in the vault at Palais de la Poste? And if I remember it correctly, you could have answered yes or no. Then question to episode number 3 was, where did the mole sleep during their first night in Siem Reap? There you had the answers: in the luxury hotel, in the motel, at the airport, or in the candidates hotel. And then last but not least, the new test question to episode number 4 is, what did the mole do during the task with the haunted house and the lie detector? So basically, which position did the mole have? Was he a suspect in the interviews? Was he an interviewer? Or was he in the haunted house? That were all test questions we got so far. And yeah, that were also all hints and theories we have so far about episode number 4. If I've missed out on anything that was suspicious, then please feel free to share that in the comments below. Also, as always, your thoughts, your ideas, your hints and theories are very welcome in the comments as well. If you do not want to miss any upcoming videos, then please subscribe to this channel here. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I will give you an update if there's a new video online. And I hope to see you back next week when we will talk about episode number 5, when we will already be halfway through the season. How fast is that going? So hopefully we will be one step closer to figuring out who the mole was then, and hopefully you will be back then watching a hints and theories video. Until next week, bye!